All right. It's just a couple minutes after 7, and we'll call the meeting to order.
The bids.
Okay.
2 bids.
Oh, you do?
Oh, good, yeah. First item is additions, deletions, and any changes to the agenda. I don't believe there are any,
Done by me.
so I think we're good there. And any public comment? I don't think there's any public comment today. So item 3 is opening bids for the 2011 Chevy Tahoe.
She's
And
gone to go
Renee just ran out to get them, so she has them on her desk, and she'll come right back. I think we had a meeting every week this month, right? Then we have one next week, too.
I know.
Then we'll have a break.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
All right, so we're on
Go
item
get burgers.
3 for opening bids.
All right.
And we had 2, huh?
2.
And the winner is?
Well. Okay. That one's
He should.
8,500.
the winning bid is $8,500.
Okay.
That is from Chicago Motors.
And they've bought them before?
They've bought them
Yeah.
before.
Huh,
Yep.
they didn't want the other one though, huh?
Apparently nothing.
Well, good. But we know it went to a good home.
Here we go. Yes. All right.
So that was the second of 2 vehicles
Yep.
we sold?
Yeah, and so the proceeds of those go back into the general fund, but I mean, basically they offset the cost of the 1-year payment
Good.
on a vehicle.
Should we make a motion to accept
Yes.
the bid? I'll make a motion to accept the bid from Chicago Motors for
$8,500.
$8,500 for the 2011 Chevy Tahoe.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Andrea?
Aye.
Aye. So 4 ayes. The next item on the agenda is a little interesting, historical, of historical interest. Consider authorizing resolution and consent for release of glebe land. Glebe land. Do you want to explain this one, Renee?
Well, I think Caitlin Ellerman is here.
Oh,
She's
okay.
the attorney that's representing the sellers. So she can provide a little information. I can read you what our attorney provided as just a brief background. Said in the 1700s, the Church of England made land grants but retained the leased land or the glebe land rights to a parcel or 2 in each town. The towns were receiving those lease payments on behalf of the church. The church was supposed to then receive the lease payments and usually did receive those payments until the Vermont Supreme Court ruled that the practice violated the Vermont Constitution clause on separation of church and state. This ruling came down in 1973 or so. So, as far as he knows, there's no properties where these lease rights are being collected. Most towns he's worked with have simply issued a quitclaim deed to the particular buyer or seller in the situation. So it's not really practical to grant it on a town-wide basis, so you have to do it with each one. There's no specific person to issue the grant to.
Do you want to come up to the,
Sure.
hi,
Introduce yourself.
I am
Yeah.
Caitlin Ellerman from the law firm Murphy Sullivan Cronk in Burlington, and I have been keeping an eye on your agendas for the last few weeks, so I appreciate that you have been meeting a lot and that you can take a few minutes to consider this. So as Renee just explained, we have been in touch with Brian Monahan, and basically that 73 decision of the Supreme Court identified the glebe land issue as a peculiar Vermont institution. And unfortunately, it's sort of coming full circle for a lot of landowners. we actually work with the town of Underhill, and they've gone through this process a couple of times now in the last year because title companies are flagging it as an issue, and they look at property description. So there was rent paid at some point, usually like a minuscule amount.
Up until 1970 something, somebody's
Yeah,
paying rent to the church?
Some, or at the very least, a landowner was perhaps paying a very small amount to the town if the town was actually paying attention to it and collecting it. A lot of towns were basically just charging them regular property taxes and just forgetting about the lease land, which is the primary practice at this point. Or is the practice at this point. So this property is on Sherman Hollow Road. It was flagged that there is reference to lease land, and so basically the description of the release by the town is specific to this property. It identifies it by the deed to Detrax LLC, and then basically says that the land or the town is releasing its interest in this property, and the purpose is to release any of these glebe rights. There is a process that there's some debate over whether the town has to follow it in these situations with the lease land. The standard conveyance of real estate process, as you might be aware, is that the select board can propose a conveyance of real estate. You have to post notice in 3 places and publish notice with a description of the proposal, and then
As if we're selling land.
right.
I mean, we'd have to do the same
Right.
thing if we were selling land.
Correct. And then the residents of the town have 30 days to get, if they object, 5% of the voters can put together
And
their
some pitchforks
petition.
and,
Alternatively, you can do a special town vote, but obviously this is the most streamlined approach. So we have this sort of authorizing resolution, which is for the select board to consider, describes the proposed conveyance, and then would authorize Renee as the duly authorized agent of the town to sign the deed itself. And this would only take place after the 30 days pass from publication and notice. We have that notice document prepared as well, and Renee has gotten the process started with the weekly to get that posted this week. And I just wanted to be here in case there were questions. I understand that the town hasn't been asked to consider something like this before, so happy to answer any questions. Or
So you said Underhill or Jericho?
the town of Underhill.
Underhill.
Yep.
What concerns came up there? Did
Well,
it
the
pass uneventfully,
yeah,
or-
it passed pretty uneventfully. And what I forgot to mention, and what may be of interest to you, is what the sort of compensation or reimbursement might look like. So in that case, as well as what we're looking at here, is reimbursing the town for reasonable attorney's fees. So having consulted with Brian, and I think he's given an estimate of around 500 to 700, I guess, depending on how many hours. But reasonable attorney's fees and the publishing costs. And fortunately, we have quite a lengthy notice here.
Yes.
So, and, we would pay for the recording of the quitclaim document itself, the PTTR, the property transfer tax return. So the town gets put back in the same place as if this didn't come up, basically, other than your time considering it.
So out of curiosity, I wonder, and you probably can't answer this, but how many more of these are out here, right? And
Yeah.
is this going to be a regular agenda item? I mean, I'm thinking worse.
There is there's at least one more that I'm aware of.
Yeah, not that I'm
Yeah.
expecting that, but
Yeah.
I would imagine that this will happen again.
Yeah,
And
so
is there any way to anticipate or predict?
there, I think it's hard to estimate how many there are. I think, I'm not sure about the accuracy of Brian's statement that there were probably one or two of these. It might have been one or two grants, but probably for big portions of land, which were then broken up.
Right.
Yeah, over time.
And so I think it's hard to predict how many. I know Burlington sees it on a pretty regular basis, and you hear stories. If you Google it, you'll see like news stories here and there about it popping up in different places, totally unexpected. So the town of Underhill, I think has just had two now in the last year, and they're already thinking, is there a way that we could streamline this a little bit? And it is tough to do, given that at least the one title council, the one title company that we've had experience with really wants that notice and publication process to happen each time. So you're going to end up having to, communicate with the town, get the notice process started, and, you might be able to consider, at least you are now familiar with the process. There might be something that could make it happen more quickly at this stage, but.
I know some towns, I think it was the town of Stowe, maybe, they've developed a policy so the town administrator or town manager can do that in consultation with the town attorney, just to have them and then do it.
We still have to go through the public.
Still have to go
notice.
through the same
So-
process, it just
yeah.
doesn't have to be a select board agenda item at a meeting.
So really, these only get found if there's a property transfer pending? Is that right?
Yeah,
And depending on which title search company I
Right.
think you use.
yeah, I can't imagine it would, people are doing a lot of research outside of
Right.
some potential real estate conveyance. And then, yeah, you're going to see references to it most often in much older deeds. And oftentimes a search will stop 40 years back. That's really as far as you usually need to go. So you might not even go back far enough to see it. If there's been conveyances that happen to continue to incorporate that reference, you're obviously a lot more likely to catch it.
Well, obviously, there was 12 conveyances from this same piece of land that didn't
Exactly.
catch it.
Yeah.
So there's at least that many.
But it sounds like what's
Or not
driving
me.
it is the title companies are getting
Yes,
more
it's the
scrutiny.
title company,
Yeah.
yeah, and so they're going back more than 40 years.
So maybe they got stung somewhere along the way and
Right.
are now.
Or they just have a deal with publishers,
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
local
that could be it.
newspapers, that they
That could be
have
it
some
too.
revenue.
So what's on there right now is the resolution, so I actually didn't bring a printed copy down, so I'll have to print one off after and have you guys sign.
There you go.
So should I make a
Yeah,
motion
we need a
to
motion to-
authorize the resolution with all these whereases that has glebe land? Should I read it or not?
Is there recommended motion language that, or just?
I make
consider
a
it
motion,
I think you could probably refer to the title of the document and.
I'll make a motion to the resolution and consent of the town of Hinesburg Select Board to release the glebe land on Sherman Hollow Road right-of-way containing 55 acres being conveyed by warranty deed from Richard Gadbois, trustee of Detroit LLC, dated June 10th, 2008.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it for you.
All right. Any more discussion?
then in the paper, well, there'll be the notice of terms of conveyance. And so
Yeah.
I've sent a draft to the Citizen, which is our paper of record, and then I'll send them the final document tomorrow based
We
on,
might consider putting this in
Yeah, I
our,
was thinking the same thing.
like, just to try to explain it in our summary.
Yeah.
All right, any more? So all those in favor of the motion, I won't repeat it.
Does Marilee want to catch up?
Did you want to catch up, or you?
I read it,
Okay.
so unless there's something different than what was on the
No, we
Dropbox.
just got the historical background to it.
Oh, okay.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. So
Aye.
all in favor, none opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you soon.
So I guess,
so,
so I guess the king, when they transferred all the land, and is it all the towns in
I
Vermont?
think all the towns probably
think
have
so,
some.
probably.
Yeah,
or at least likely.
and they said, we're gonna keep a parcel in case we want it, I guess.
And, yeah, to
Support.
set up a church, a
Yeah.
school, set up the town, try to encourage settlements and payments back.
payments back.
Yes, right.
So it actually, yeah, I mean, it predates
Yes.
the revolution.
Yes,
Right,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
mid 18th century.
Yeah.
Good. Well,
All right,
thank
we'll
you.
be in touch.
Well, I think the
good.
Church of
Thank you.
England will be using that a lot.
Yeah,
See this on the BBC
they're gonna
tomorrow.
miss this.
All right.
So the next item is considering reappointment of Rodney Putnam to the Rec Commission, and I guess we missed it in our normal re-ups.
Yeah,
I
was that-
apologize. I thought I was actually signing up for 3 years the first time, so
Yeah.
the email was kind of a surprise, so I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, I think, sometimes we have to stagger the terms, and so I think his term was staggered when he was appointed to a 2-year term rather than a 3-year term. So here we are.
Should I start the conversation by making a motion?
Yes, probably.
So I'll make a motion to appoint Rodney Putnam, reappoint him to the Rec Commission for a term ending 1/1/21. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yep.
Second.
Okay. And just to sort of clarify, we have a policy that says people are already serving and there haven't been any issues, which typically there aren't. And we typically just ask if they want to be reappointed, and if they do, they don't have to come in, but since apparently you've done something wrong, not really, you just got missed,
He did
and
not
so,
have to come, he
yeah.
volunteered.
She
He
told me
just
this
wanted
morning I
to-
didn't have to come in, but I already had it on
Yeah.
the evening calendar, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Let's get out of the dishes tonight.
How-
Did,
yeah.
did you
No,
want to did you want to share any of your experiences over
it's,
your
no,
short
it's,
period of
it's
time
been,
so far?
it's been pleasant, it's been great. It's been fun, the whole, the biggest spearhead thing is the Bissonnet Fields and all that, and that's been great to see that, coming along and the rubber hitting the road, and
Yeah.
it's coming to fruition, and the next. So yeah, it's been great. Enjoyed it, and
Good. Yeah.
it's helping me meet more people in the community, which was kind of what we should all do, really. So, no, I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks for serving.
So Rodney is a fine pizza table
Henry,
Server?
preparation artist.
Pizza table preparation artist.
Yes.
He knows how to cut pizza?
I can cut pizza. I can run it from the kitchen pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
And in the staff in the kitchen, they were different every year, but it was solid. Yeah, it
Big
was.
big game coming up on Sunday, so maybe you get your services.
Yeah, as a Buffalo fan, I'm out of the mix this year.
I can't picture what Matt's skill is. Maybe if you're available next Monday evening, you could show us.
There you go.
Well, as long as Henry and I'll have a race. That'd be great.
There you go.
Well, pizza is one thing, but to do hot dogs and hamburgers on Green Up Day, now that's a
There you go.
completely other thing,
I don't want
so.
to step on any toes.
Oh,
I
no.
think he'd like you to.
Okay,
appreciate
so
it.
all in favor of reappointing Rodney, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So all in favor, none opposed. Thanks again for serving
No, well, thank
and
you.
coming
for
in,
coming.
yeah.
Have a
Thanks
great-
for everything the rec crew does too, so it's great.
We're having a good time. Thank you.
Good, yeah.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Rodney.
Take care.
Next item is to finalize, and I think we'll vote that the general fund budget and capital transfer summary is ready to go to town meeting. Did you want to say anything?
Well, if you've looked
Particular?
at the updated link I sent you this afternoon, so I did make a change. I had sent you something on Friday, maybe, that's showing that I was going to, I'd found there were $30,000 in capital reserves for a highway bridge that I was going to use to apply to offset the paving, the $250,000. So I did that, and that brought our tax rate down. 30,000 is basically equivalent to half a cent on the tax rate. So it was like 11.71% increase. I talked to Mike Anthony about it. I'd emailed him at the time. He responded today and said actually that 30,000 should stay in reserves as for future. There's more bridge work that needs to be done, and rather than having a big expense in another future fiscal year, to apply that and keep saving towards those other upcoming expenses, which was very valid. So I backed that back out again, and we're back up to the 12.74% increase. But just to underline, that's just a reflection of the increased expenditures. And when you're looking at a small budget that we have, little bumps look large. In another town that works with a greater number, those type of increases don't make a blip. But here it looks on face value. But then I tried to explain it later in the memo. Just if you just take out simply the highway garage and the solar trackers, just those two things of debt service, that's $240,902 of increase of money that wasn't there in FY18. The workers' comp insurance, the increase over FY18 is $17,740. These are all fixed costs. There's not anything that we can do about them. Increase in health insurance premium, $12,427. So just those, if you back those out of the existing proposed budget, it brings it down to 4.79%. And then on top of that are the vehicles that we purchased. Their first payments will be in FY19. That includes the dump truck, the loader, the 2 police cruisers, and the 2 Ford F-150s, one for highway, one for water, wastewater that's shared with utilities. Shared with buildings and facilities, just a small portion. That total is $106,734. So once you back that out, now we're just under a 1% increase in expenditures. Again, when you have a smaller...
Under 1%.
Under 1%.
Under 1%.
Yeah,
Yes.
under 1%. And so then I did a pie chart. Taught myself how to do it. And so this kind of just is a visual of that. And so you see in the increase of expenditures how much the debt service is that accounts for that increase. And then the other is the new equipment and vehicle purchases, health insurance, workers' comp, and then the remaining I just kind of accounted for in salary increases, the capital transfers, the other capital transfers that we had, and then miscellaneous increases.
I think it looks really good.
Yeah.
I mean, it explains it really well.
Right. And so in the revenue, the projected non-property tax revenue, which shows $715,000. I do have a note that in the projected revenue for Vermont Gas, and that's just the new line that came on, so wasn't reflected in the grand list that from last year. So this would be up above and beyond. I had put in $100,800 for additional revenue. You can't count it under the property tax revenue, so I have it in non-property tax, but just a note to showing that that's money that we're anticipating is going to be coming in this FY19's property tax revenue.
The only thing I would say is that it's the whole transmission line through the whole town. It's not just Japrag Park.
I was thinking the same
Right.
thing.
They are basically,
The new portion of the
The
line.
new
Okay,
portion
got
is-
it,
it's
got it,
the
got it.
whole town.
The whole town, okay.
Right.
So I shouldn't,
Yeah.
I should adjust that. All right.
because previous to that, they were paying, it's not exactly considered property tax
It's
anymore.
not considered property tax, so what's the correct term?
Well, it shows up on the grand list, but not that we're assessing it.
Right.
So
But they do
It's
pay
assessed.
it based on what our tax rate is.
yes,
and
they
all of
pay it
that.
on our
So it's
tax
a-
rate, but the assessed value is established,
By the state.
well, by them to the state,
Yeah.
and then the state
Yeah.
gives us the number.
All of the
Okay.
utilities,
Yeah.
anything like
So-
that.
Next year, I mean, it will be within, it'll show, next year we'll say, here's the assessed value, and that will be in that number or not? It's sort of a side.
It should be built into our grand list.
Yeah.
Well, but they don't, like when you look at our cost, that newspaper sheet thing that we got of our
Right.
cost appraisal, all the utilities used to show up in that. They don't show up there anymore. So we don't ever see the value of Green Mountain Power, all the transmission lines and distribution lines, or the substation of the co-op, because that used to show up as a value. Or like what the value of the distribution lines is of Vermont Gas. So every spring, the tax department will give us those numbers
Right.
that we can use then to set the tax rate. So
Okay.
I think from year to year, it shouldn't change that much, except for that it will be depreciating
Right.
over time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So this is the projected amount, the
So,
100,800
So
is the
where
projected.
did you get the projection from?
So I got it directly from Vermont Gas
Okay.
and their accountant.
They
They
must
gave us
know.
the formula.
Yeah.
So they gave what the value is of, and the mileage of the line. And then they based it on the tax rate from, what we approved last July.
Okay.
And so this is a.
So if our tax rate
estimated-
was higher, they'd have to pay more.
So
Interesting.
The municipal portion is approximately 6% of that. So then you take 26% of that, and that you get 1,880 actually, but I put 1,800 as the projected.
Yeah. So that's, so
Yeah.
you've now got that in there, which
Yep.
helped, yeah.
So, and then additional revenue sources, I applied the 23,000 of police impact fees towards their debt service. And then the solar credits, because this is the first year of ownership, we just equally offset the solar credits from the debt service for the solar trackers. We'll get more information over the
Yeah.
coming year.
So,
I think Phil, I think,
yeah,
had some other
I did. I
information.
took a good look at it. I wanted to make sure that what's been applied is reasonable amount, and
So we're looking at it this year as a wash. Is how
yeah,
we're
it
gonna
should be.
play it.
I was just looking at what was originally estimated. I applied what was credited in 2017, although it's different now that we own them. All the credits will come back to us. A portion of it goes to water, wastewater to pay for the pump at the cemetery pump, but then they give it back to the town. So it's a little confusing. You got to follow the numbers, but Missy and that crew is doing that correctly now that there's, the purchase has happened. So roughly, my estimate for 2018, and it's conservative, is saying we'll get to 38. That's what we've got down there. I actually have it as being over 46. So it would cover the bond, it would cover the O&M, plus have a credit. So at least 5,000, probably more, because it's conservative. And so we will bounce along like that for the next 3 years. Then in the fourth year, or the fifth year, however you look at it, some of the credit we get goes away. So there's a 6-cent adder in there. That'll go away. So then there'll be a slight flop where we won't be able to cover all the expenses. But if we saved all the money that we've been saving, we can kind of get through, and then it goes back the other way again once the bond goes away. So anyways, get back to that number of 38. I feel really confident about that.
So should we be taking that reserve
I think
money
we
and set
should.
up a reserve fund to
I think
pay
that
for
would
the
be
fifth year
a good
on?
thing.
Yeah.
To sort of just have it be whatever is extra, I think we should put away. And then when it comes to a point where it doesn't quite cover it, we take that money and apply it. But we don't have to do that now. But I think what's in there, the 38, I just wanted to feel like that it was right.
Right.
And so
What's the reason for the dip there? That's
there's a 6-cent adder that goes for 10 years. So in 3 years, that 6-cent adder goes away. So the amount we get for credits will go down
So that's the federal
And then you
subsidy
still have
there.
the bond to
Got it.
vote for, so
That's-
it doesn't quite cover it. But if you take what's here, it just about covers it. And then eventually the bond's paid for and everything else is credit. And then this year, there was a Green Mountain Power 5% increase in cost, which really adds to the credit.
Oh.
So when the cost of electricity goes up, that's good if you're making electricity. You get that.
So a question with regards to where the revenue goes. Would it be, I know we set it up that way because the water people we want to make them feel whole. But if it's all coming back to the town anyway, wouldn't it be easier for accounting just to credit the town because everybody's paying for that anyway?
It's hard because it's got to be attached to a meter and it's attached to that meter.
Got it.
So what they do is anything that is credited above and beyond the meter, the Green Mountain Power writes a check, and then periodically the accountants go, okay, you know this costs the town. Your electricity is being covered by the town, so water, wastewater pays the town, and they not only pay the electricity cost, they pay all the service costs of having that meter too. So they're paying the complete thing. So, which is good. So overall, it looked really good.
And so here's my second pie chart. And this is the entire budget as a whole, and it just breaks it out into all the different sections. So we have the separate voted on items on the town meeting warning. So I separated those out, as well as general government versus intergovernmental expenses. And then I kind of provide a little summary of what each of those includes, or at least a basic idea of what they include. So the intergovernmental would be like the Green Mountain Transit, the county tax, the Lake Iroquois Recreation District. The fire department includes the fire department expenses as well as the fire warden.
We should take the Hinesburg Land Trust out of there,
Okay,
because we don't ever,
because we don't
yeah.
anything.
And a couple of those slices of the pie actually get spread out. The insurances and the benefits actually get spread out throughout all of these.
Right.
Based on
Yeah.
the employees.
But we do
We
a
do
separate.
sh-
We
They
separate.
do have separate
separate.
insurance too, right? Yep.
Well, we
So we
always,
don't-
we show it as a separate line
Yeah.
item
Yeah, we
for
don't include
everybody.
it
We
in the
don't include it.
departments.
And
Right,
every
right.
year, somebody from the audience says, well, you should include that in in each department. And it's like, wow, it's easier to do it this way.
Right.
Well, and it's a moving thing because some
It's a
people are
Right, yeah,
opting out
yeah,
and
yeah.
depends what they sign up for in any particular year.
Yeah.
No, that looks good.
Okay. And then the last page is just what the grand list growth projection is. And again, based on information from Marie, it looks like a pretty anemic growth. And so we've been traditionally done around a 1 to 1.1% increase. But if that's not actually what we're seeing, then I wanted to really adjust it.
It's conservative. We
Yeah, it's
expect
a
But again,
conservative.
that's
we'll
also
hit that.
typical of the other
Yeah.
towns.
Right, and
Yeah.
other towns
Yeah.
are having,
Yeah.
yeah. So, the estimated grand list value is $6,010,827. Again, that's just an estimate. We won't know until they lodge the grand list. So in FY19, we did propose to apply $120,000 of unassigned fund balance. I did speak with the auditors, our accountant, and this again is a safe and a conservative amount that we can do. But this is equivalent to approximately 2 cents off decrease in the tax rate to help things offset the high expenditures this year. So then the summary shows what the proposed expenditures are for FY19, compares them with FY18. The difference or increase in expenditures is $435,733. Again, at the top page, first page, it really shows what the primary drivers are of those. Preliminary FY19 tax rate is 0.5224. Compared to last year, that's just under 3 cents increase on the tax rate. And then there's, shows you on a $200,000 home, $300,000 home, and a $400,000 home, what that increase compared to last year would mean to each family.
So I, talking with Renee, so, the tax, we show that 12%, at the front end, that's the total increase, but then you take away what additional, I always want to say income. It's not
Revenue.
Revenue, and it ends up being 6%, maybe a little bit better than that, a little less than that. And almost 3 cents on the rate,
Well, only 2.
2.9.
Yeah, just under 3 pennies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I think there's a couple of items there. Well, a couple of items to think about. So we do have the fund balance this year, which is very fortunate. I don't think we can expect it next year. I mean, some of that probably came because we were understaffed, and now we're pretty much fully staffed, or will be for this next year coming up. We hope to be.
Right.
And
Right,
you know,
but the fund balance will come from,
It's based on, so June 30th, the end of the fiscal year, so.
June 30th of 2018.
18. Yeah,
So
So that'll
half
be-
the year we were
yeah,
understaffed.
yeah.
that'll be what we have to work with for
Right.
next year.
Yeah.
I
based
imagine
on-
that helped a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, things like that help, obviously. The sales of these vehicles, they're going back into the general fund, so, different things like that that we haven't accounted for in the
Underspending.
budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the
Underspending it.
gas prices will go way down.
Yeah, right.
Right, so, those types of things.
Any
Any other-
questions or?
Well, I think you did a really nice job, Renee.
Thank you.
Really
Yeah.
nicely explained, and
I really am ready to have it outside of my brain, though.
If it wasn't for the attached numbers, it'd be great.
What's that?
If it wasn't for the attached numbers, it'd be great.
Right. Oh, Lord. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's, I don't want the over message to be that, gosh, why'd we buy this highway garage or why'd we do that? Those are that's something that we really needed. If it had been done a few decades ago, it'd have been cheaper. This is the cost it is now. This gets us a building that's going to carry us more than 50 years into the future. It's, the current building, it was undersized. It wasn't a safe working environment for our staff. And so this was a good investment for the town. But there's a cost of doing business. And so with the trackers and the garage, that's an increase with our small budget. It has an impact. And so we had to work to try to find ways to offset that, because to offset it within our budget would have been a significant decrease to the services that people are used to. So we were fortunate to be able to have some other revenue sources that we could use to help offset those expenditures.
Any other thoughts?
do we make a motion to accept it, or
I think so. As presented.
as
and
presented? Yes.
There may
I'll
be
make a
some,
motion to.
potentially another tweak, maybe, but hopefully
Some
not.
minor edits. I mean, I'll see if I can remove the Hinesburg Land Trust, but I'd have to remove it from the lines. I just want to make sure it doesn't create any other issues by doing
Yeah.
that. And I'll change, instead of Japrag's Park, the transmission line going through Hinesburg.
Yeah.
Is it just the transmission or is it distribution as
They
well?
already pay on the distribution, but so
But
that's
the new distribution.
they should be paying some more on that.
Right.
So that's the question, is whether that number that they gave you was the total because the way that I understood it is they give the total value of their infrastructure,
Uh-huh.
and then they divide it by the number of miles.
Yeah.
So whether, you know.
The number
I
that they
don't-
gave me was, my assumption is it was the total new.
Yeah.
the new
so you can look and
mileage.
see how much they paid last year.
Uh-huh,
And,
yeah.
you know, I don't think that the new distribution line is going to add a lot.
No, I was just curious if
right.
it was bundled in with the transmission
Right.
line.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, my assumption is that it's all of, that was all their new infrastructure
I
compared
think
to it
that
last year.
transmission line's quite expensive compared
So-
to some plastic line,
Yep.
you know, that they can bury
Well,
miles at a
it's the
day.
$135 million.
Yes,
Really,
right.
or it's really more than that, but
Yeah.
that's the, you know, it depends on what they submit to the state in terms of
Mm-hmm.
what their actual cost was, and then they divide it by the number of miles, and however many
And there's
miles
that-
was in Hinesburg.
Right, yep,
Station there, right?
Gate
right on the
station.
gate station, that's,
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple, isn't there?
But
The
it's
one in
all just,
Hinesburg, I think.
the whole value of the project then
Yeah.
just gets divided. So it's
Right.
not necessarily whether there's a gate station in one town versus another.
maybe not, you're right,
Yeah.
it may just be,
I think,
Yeah.
I don't know.
because the value's in its entirety.
Yeah.
So the largest portion will go to the education tax rate,
Right.
and we get the small, the 26, approximately 26%.
Yep. All right,
And we're
any
not
more-
showing any revenue, we're not showing the revenue from Vermont Gas anywhere.
As far as the money.
Compensation?
Right.
Right. No,
Yeah,
no,
so
no.
I mean, people may bring that
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Right, yeah. Because those were, went to specific, we didn't, you know, like the money going to the Conservation Commission
Right.
went. And so you can't
Phil-
show it in
And
the-
Phil references, I mean,
in
we
my
could have taken
report.
the $250,000 and used it,
Could have done anything
could
with
have
it.
done anything with it,
Right,
right? We
yeah.
could have offset the
Right,
taxes.
yeah.
Well,
Right.
But
we don't need to delve
No,
into, but
no,
we
Right.
no,
know
no, but, well, all I'm
Yeah.
saying is-
various reasons.
Right, right,
Right,
right.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
comfortable with what we did,
Yeah.
but people are gonna say, well, what happened to, you know, if people
Yeah.
weren't paying attention?
Yeah, so for the reserve
Which person
funds,
was that?
so the reserve funds you don't want to show in the
I
thing
know,
because then it
yeah.
would go back to the general
Right.
fund if it wasn't used,
Right,
so.
right,
But you can certainly, you know, talk about those, but.
yeah.
And I think, so we should be looking at our spreadsheets closely in the next 2 to 4 weeks. We'll have some discussions in the next couple of meetings in February. Have an opportunity for anybody who wants to ask questions about it. And we will each be studying our own assigned areas, so we can be the key person, I guess, if there's some questions, if we can, but we'll support each other, and
Yeah,
Renee is
I'll be there to
willing
answer
to be
anything.
there too, and if we misspeak or something's a little confusing, can
And the
help
department heads, I think,
Yeah,
should be
Yeah.
there.
yeah.
and-
Yeah.
Yeah,
speak to
And
things.
Missy, she'll be there.
Yeah.
Should be there,
That's
yeah.
always helpful too.
yeah.
Do we want to talk about anything specific about how we want to present this even before the meeting? Like, we have the
Well,
month of
yeah,
February. How do
yeah,
we
well,
want?
yeah, I think
how do we
we'll
want
do
to spend
that.
our February?
Yeah,
Like
we've
I-
got stuff on the agenda
With
now,
some sort of
but
outreach.
I think we wanted, I mean, what I've talked about with you guys is I think it would be highly beneficial to everyone if we did sort of some public hearings on a certain amount of time at each of the 2 February meetings, February 5th and 19th, for like a public hearing on the budget, just to sort of talk about it, get people's questions answered, and get as much information out there prior to town meetings so that people can come to town meeting feeling informed already. And
it might be a place where we might, you know, I don't want to overdo the front porch forum, but there
Yeah.
might be
Yes.
a couple items at each meeting that we could sort of highlight that could be big questions, and, you know, just get it out there.
Yeah, that's what I was
we
saying.
could get the budget pages put on to the website.
Yep.
And then do in the select board, you know, do a little blurb about it with a link to the budget pages.
Put it on the
Yeah.
Facebook
Yeah.
page.
And that's what we've done in the past
Yeah.
is we've beefed up the budget page this time of year with
Right, yeah.
current info
Yeah.
and then kind of use that page as the clearinghouse
Actual
for
link, yeah.
for
Yeah.
everything.
Will you be able to get the pie charts on the webpage? Because those are
Oh,
really
yeah.
great.
Yeah, and I'm gonna keep them in this memo too, so
Yeah.
they'll be there.
That go in the book. In the
Yeah, this will go in the
report.
town report. I mean, I'm trying to get this so it's all set to go into the town report, just
And
like
at
you're
the
seeing.
meeting, if we can project those up on a screen too, I think it's really helpful to have
Yeah,
a picture like
yeah,
that.
no, I could certainly do the pie charts on separate pages as well, so that you can, highlight those too. But,
Could you link this document directly to Front Porch Forum?
Yes.
yep. And I could, between now and town meeting, I could get the Mr. Pie Chart Extraordinaire himself to look at if there's anything additional. This was my version of it, but maybe there's better things that happen. His recommendation to me was just to try it myself. He felt confident that I could come up with something if I had questions to ask him. So I can see if there's other ways of showing a visual of the budget.
There's something I mentioned to Renee, which I think she'll think about, but in this memo, the first thing you read is 12.7%. So when you read that, you go, the budget's going up 12.7%. But at the end, if it said, and here's how much the tax rate is going up, even though it has the pennies, I think that's going to be, it needs to be clarified. That says that the budget is going up that much, but the revenue goes up too. So the overall final budget is a difference of, I kind of figured it was around,
Well, are you suggesting that maybe
6%.
that first paragraph ought to have,
maybe.
maybe you can combine the last, make the first paragraph a summary? So
Or is
you
this
don't
the
get
attention
just the
grabber to
bad
get someone
enough.
to actually read our
Well,
information.
yeah, but they're not going to see anything
Put in
past
red
that.
parentheses, please read all the way to the bottom.
Take
Yeah.
a deep breath.
Well, I would be worried that, somebody would see that and then they're stuck there.
Or
It's
you
like,
post
okay.
on Front Porch Forum, call the select board members or the town administrator,
Right.
read the rest of the document, please.
Yeah.
So anyways, you can think about that.
All right. Yeah, like I said, I just structured it how it's been in the previous town reports. It seems to be what people are used to, and so sort of tried to keep it in that same way, but I embedded the pie charts into the memo
Yeah.
rather than having them on a separate page, just so that they sort of explained through the document.
So you started a motion, Andrea, and then it kind of got.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so I'll make a motion to accept the proposed budget and capital improvement plan.
Well, it's
Budget?
the
Okay.
capital, it's the summary.
Okay.
It's what we are,
Okay, I'll make.
the capital transfer summary.
Is there a second?
I'll second it for you.
Any more discussion? Other than, again, I'll say nice job, Renee.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. So all in favor, none opposed. And we'll have, we'll block off some time the next two meetings in
Yeah,
February.
we're not going to meet on a Saturday to talk about it?
No,
Okay.
I was going to do the quick. Do you know the actual overall
Did anybody have
percentage?
any interest of doing an alternative day on budget rather than the 5th and the 19th, or is that?
I'm certainly open to it. I mean, I'd have to schedule it, but I'm certainly open to it if others are, and all we
That's
need is
just
three
a
of us,
discussion.
right?
You guys can decide if that's something that you're interested in or not.
Yeah. But if you had a Saturday available, I mean, we're not talking about a whole Saturday. We're talking about 2 hours probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a couple Saturdays I know I'm blocked out in February, so we'd have to. Do we think we'll get anybody to come?
I can make more food,
I don't know. We try it, right? If you hold it at Papa Next, you will.
you know?
Breakfast, 8 o'clock meeting.
Make real pie.
There you go.
Here
Yeah,
we go.
right.
A pie chart.
Or we could set up
Pie
a few
with
more
pie
tables across.
There
Pies
you go.
will be served.
Or in the evening.
Get your questions in early.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I don't know. We're kind of joking, but
Yeah.
do we?
I say
think-
let's keep this idea open.
Okay. Yeah, we won't decide.
Well-
until-
And then we'll run it through Renee.
Do we want to try to have a first public hearing at the February 5th one? I mean, a certain amount of the agenda to this.
Yeah.
Try to
Yes.
advertise
Yeah.
between now and
Yes.
then, see what success we get with bringing people in,
Sure.
or at least
Yeah.
getting people to come in.
Yes.
I'll probably put it out there that they can either call me directly too if they have questions, if they want to go over through,
Yeah,
go things
or
through
anybody on the
things.
select board.
Yeah.
We
Or
can
if they
always,
need
we can't
details.
answer the question, we can take it back and
Yeah.
get an answer to them.
But just ways of people getting the information and trying to get
We
questions
could
answered.
say that we would
concerns.
serve pie on the 5th.
We could.
See if we get anybody.
Seems to bring out the most people is if you serve food, but
That's this weekend?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, actually, I mean, it's Monday.
Yeah, Monday.
I said
For Monday,
Monday
the
night.
next meeting.
That's right.
Monday night, yeah, I don't know.
Truck day. Monday's truck day.
truck day?
Fenway Park. Everything heads down to Florida.
Oh,
So we'll just go with Monday and see how it goes.
see how it
and then
goes.
we'll-
Okay.
So, are we saying we might do it on a Saturday? February's a short month and it goes by really quickly, and I do have some commitments on Saturdays, so,
I think we should see how it goes.
Yeah.
If
See
we
how-
have
see what
time
we
in
can
the agenda at all, I think we stick with our regular meeting times.
Right,
But I
it's
think-
only that it makes it available to people who maybe
Right.
can't come on a Monday or
Right.
something like that, and.
Maybe as we get closer to town meeting, if we feel like we haven't gotten enough people, haven't reached out to enough people, or there's people that have said that they can't make a Monday, but
I mean, we could go to some meeting that other people have, but I don't know what other.
the school district also may be coming to one of our February meetings. So the school board for the Champlain Valley School District.
To break us the bad news.
Yeah.
I've seen some preliminary, I think, but not.
They need
They-
to have theirs
they find-
posted today too.
Yeah,
don't
Yeah,
they?
theirs is,
right.
yeah, theirs is
Yeah.
final.
All right, I guess that's good. And next item on the agenda is finalizing town warning, and you gave us a copy.
Yeah, so in the new added things to the Dropbox is the warning that should be ready
With no yellow on it.
with no yellow. But again, double check. I had, Missy look at it. We'll look at it just to check my numbers. And really, the top number on each line is the key, because that's really what they're voting on.
Yep.
The bottom number is just based on projected revenue, but the top number is what should match what's in the,
And I'm guessing nothing else came in, because today it was due. If there was any other,
Actually, last Monday was when.
was it?
any
Oh, that's right,
articles
you're
were
right,
due.
yeah.
Today was the officers.
officers, yep. So it's a basic one. There aren't any special articles or anything this year.
So I'll make a motion to accept the warning as presented. The warning for the,
Actually, if you guys have
town
any.
meeting
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
2018.
There is a question mark added in Article 10 of the
Oops.
day taxes are due.
Article 10, wait, just
November 15th, 2018, question mark.
let me just see that. Maybe that was something that was already there. Let me see, article,
It is a question.
where's the article? Article 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, shall voters
We're,
authorize?
Oh,
we're
Yeah.
saying aye eventually, hopefully.
So if you go through the items, like, for example, Article 4 with the Highway Department, the 1,002,241 matches up with the total expenditures in the Highway Department. The next number in the next line, 864,241, that subtracts out the state aid, state highway aid, which is 138,000. And so that number, the top number, subtract 138,000 is 864,241.
But we're still voting on the budget of 1 million.
You're
So
still
if some
voting-
reason we don't get that
Absolutely.
138,
Yeah, so that
we're still
doesn't-
committed to
yeah.
spending that.
That's why I'm trying to, the bottom
Yeah.
numbers really don't, even though that's a projection,
Yeah.
it's the top number that they're voting on.
Yep.
And so for the police, the top number is 558, 510. The bottom number includes the different revenue that they bring in. The only thing I didn't include in the revenue was the impact fees, because that goes to the general government budget because it's offsetting the debt service. Fire department, the only thing on there is the St. George contract. And the Carpenter Curse Library is what it is, and the agency requests total the 29,100. And so any additional revenue sources are applied to the general government, and that's what makes up the number at the top in Article 3. So the 1,731,252 is what's remaining in the overall budget once you take out the highway, all the other separately voted on items.
So are we'd be signing this tonight then?
Yep.
Yep. So I've got to go print these documents off. I forgot to get the printed versions.
And this is the day they have to be signed by?
Got to sign them tonight. I'm going to get them ready and sent to the newspaper tomorrow. I've already sent them a draft of it, so they have a placeholder in the paper, so it'll go out in this Thursday's edition. And then this is also what will go in the town report as well. And I'll be posting them around town just like I post the agendas.
Okay. Was there a motion?
I made my
I
motion.
don't have a second.
I'll second it.
I thought, okay.
That was the last one you did, Tom.
I thought Aaron did, but that's all right.
All those in favor of the finalized 2018 town meeting warning, say aye.
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 Aye. We've all accepted.
I will say that I think despite what the numbers are, I think the process was pretty good this year. It seemed like,
Good, yeah.
everybody did their part.
Yeah.
It seemed like there wasn't a lot of strife going through it.
No, I think keeping an open line of communication, keeping the department heads part of it, you guys part of it, I think really helped the process. And
You did a good job of keeping the department, I thought. I felt connected to
Yeah.
them. We had questions, they, came back, they had input on the questions. I was left mostly with what Tom said, the town, we gotta get the town to grow just a little bit and grow into the budget that we have, into
Yeah.
the services we have. Renee and I were talking, and I know I've said this before, the police department's right-sized for a little bit of growth, the town highway, everything else is, won't have to grow a lot, even if the town grows a little bit. So,
Staff. That's
yeah,
another one.
yeah, pretty good, ready to do it. So I think, we sort of look at what's constraints there are for growth and, water, wastewater, primarily the big one. See if we can't open up a little bit of that and allow not a huge amount, but a little bit of growth to help that grand list. And I think Renee said the schools can take more people, they'll be more efficient. So we're in a good spot, I think, for a little bit of growth.
so at your February 19th meeting is when we're inviting Eric and other people to talk about the water, the current water system and the issues that we've had and what steps we are going to do to move forward. And also to look at the draft permit for the wastewater plant and what that means to the town and start planning for that moving forward as well. So that's the February 19th meeting. I have a placeholder for that.
All right. Town administrator report?
Actually, just thinking about the Monday meetings, I think this is, not something that we need to do right now, but just to kind of put a bug in your ear of thinking about how we changed to Thursdays in the summer. does Thursdays work other times of the year? Mondays are hard only because you start your week with this long, I call it Marathon Monday, you know, and
Start Thursday.
to prepare for you're working into the weekend to do, you know, to do that. Whereas Thursdays, for whatever reason, seem to work better on that end, but it needs to work with the schedules that you guys have. Just be thinking about a day that might work.
After assuming, there's 2 people up for election in a month or so, we will have our reorganization.
Right, yep.
And that's a good time. So get us all thinking about it, of what days could work. I'm okay with going around the room and saying, and where does it work for everybody?
Yeah.
And it's not a bad point to say Mondays, may not be the best for Renee or
Or
anybody
for
else.
you guys
so.
as well. I mean, you're starting your week the same thing,
Yeah.
these late nights and then going into the rest of your week. So,
Andrea, is there a particular night of the week that you would want to, or that doesn't work at all?
Well, typically Wednesday, the third Wednesday of the month is when the RPC meets, but other than that, I can kind of rearrange. I mean, I think there's the value of having it on Monday for us is that you kind of can look
Sunday.
at it on
Yeah.
on the weekend.
Yeah.
And so in the summer, when I tend to be more busy, I'm always cramming on Thursday to read it. But in a sense, I feel like from Renee's perspective and also from the public's perspective of when the agenda gets posted, I think people are more looking at it maybe during the week. So the public will have a better chance of knowing what's going on during the week and can call and ask questions prior to the meeting if it was on a weekday and know about it. So in that sense, I could see that it might be beneficial to change it from a Monday.
Okay.
But I'm open to whatever works for everybody else.
Tom?
Thursdays work better for me in the summer. Depending on if we change anything around and in what we do, but Thursdays seem to make sense. Renee really.
Does the rest of the year work for Thursdays or?
I gotta
Yeah,
say,
it's-
so I've been playing hockey on Thursday for 35 years. That's a hard one for me to change, but I'm open to the other days too. So
Yeah, not necessarily. That's
yeah.
Thursday's the day we used.
Right, on
Wednesdays
the-
would work for me as well.
what did you
Are
think?
we first and
Wednesdays, just play with them.
first and third? So you're third Wednesdays.
Right, but we could change
We
to
can change.
second and fourth. I mean, we have
Yeah,
to
yeah.
coordinate with, if we like
Yeah.
using
That's
this
right.
room.
Yeah. We have to coordinate
Planning Commission
with
is
Planning
second and
Commission.
fourth Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we could
And
conceivably
DRB
do
is
the
first
first
and
and
third Tuesday.
yeah. Okay. Marilee?
It doesn't really matter to me at this point. I have all evenings free as far as I can remember. But I think it's important to pick one day and stick with it.
Oh yeah.
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 So I don't think Wednesday's a good idea if we're doing first and third Wednesday, because we often meet every week. And if
Right.
we can't do that on a Wednesday
Second,
because
fourth.
somebody else is using the room, I don't think that's a good idea. And if we can't do Thursday because of your hockey, but then there's some reason that you don't like Monday in the summer, is that
Just
right?
in the
Usually
summer,
they play
yeah.
golf.
I see.
But it's been working out. We've been able to make that switch.
Do you not do hockey in the summer?
No.
Oh.
Well,
know-
there is, but sometimes, we don't always meet every Thursday either, so that works out. How about you, Aaron? Just
So part of this discussion came from me of putting this bug in Renee's ear, of watching what Renee does
Yeah.
starting Friday morning, and she's in her office straight until we finish tonight. And I made the analogy to my life, which starts with a fury on Friday morning and doesn't end until this meeting ends Monday night. And it is packed with no sleep and no time for this whole thing. So you're putting a whole entire week into 2 days. And I think to Andrea's point, I think it's a good one that a lot of people are like that and they don't really see. And so all of a sudden Monday comes and goes and it doesn't, just because we've always done it that way doesn't mean we should do it, right?
I agree.
And so I am absolutely open to this discussion of moving it to a different day, other than Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, which would leave you Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? Thursday is picking up a little bit of traction, although I know there's an issue or two. Wednesday has an issue, but maybe Tuesday's the day. I don't know, but I think Thursday we were talking about just because we go to that in the
Only
summertime.
because that was a summertime.
Because it was a
thing.
summertime
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Well, and it doesn't have a conflict with the planning commission or
And
the
the DRB.
DRB.
Exactly.
Because in the winter, when we have to meet every week, there would be a conflict with those other boards
Absolutely.
of using this room.
So, moving off of Monday is music to my ears. It really is. It would help a lot.
Well, how about, so we'll address this more formally, I think. But maybe you look at the schedule too around what the other things are happening in town.
Yeah.
And you've heard us all sort of talk and maybe sort of say, here's an idea. And, maybe it ends up being a time when, we got the first and third always open. And occasionally there might be a conflict. But, ideally we try to do twice a month. And it's only really during budget time that we know it's a real killer. Or when some big thing comes up.
I think because we're using this room, it's the Tuesdays and Wednesdays are the only other real conflict of the room with the DRB and the Planning Commission, like you'd mentioned. So the
And we can always go upstairs.
we could.
And then I
Just a
assume
matter.
7 o'clock is the time we want to continue to meet. I mean, just for the sake of saying it, I don't know how practical it is, but what if we met at a different time during the day? I mean, is that just crazy to think about, or does that even help us in any way?
I think it's crazy to think about.
Okay.
Well, I think
Hard to
most
work
people
schedules.
that come, other than town employees, would have a
Right.
harder time coming during the day. I'm not
Possibly.
sure.
I mean, we would help some people and hurt others.
Yeah.
But then for select board members who have other jobs and things like that,
Oh, I'm in
makes it-
that same
right.
boat.
Right,
I'm just
right.
sort of throwing the
It's
idea
not
out
that-
there.
it's a-
Absolutely.
I mean, we're
we
talking
should
about it,
think
so
about
I'm saying it.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, there are
absolutely.
select boards that meet at like 7 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
some mornings,
Huh.
so.
Or in the middle of the day sometime, or
Yeah.
I don't know, just.
huh?
But we should also consider what works when VCAM can be here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right,
Okay.
well, that was a good discussion.
Yeah, we're just planting a
think we
seed,
can-
just a
yeah.
thought, no rush or anything, but just to kind of get people thinking.
Yeah, I don't think it's been bad what we've done with the summer. I mean, because it doesn't work for you in the wintertime.
Right.
Right.
Mondays don't really work for me in the summer. I mean, whatever,
Right.
in the
summer.
summertime.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
We do that
we
with
have
the
to consider our personal lives too, I think, in this,
Absolutely.
really.
And from on my end, things might ease up a little bit, once I have another person. So, I've been
Yeah.
Right.
basing on this flying solo too. So
Right.
that's a different animal than what hopefully the future brings. So.
Right.
And next year, just gonna cut and paste because you did it all this
Right.
year.
It'll be so easy next year. 5 minutes and this budget will be
Yeah,
done.
right.
So, anyhow.
Is there anything else? You got the new hire starting?
Yeah, so Joyce starts on Thursday.
Oh.
Still have to get her desk set up and everything between now and then, but yeah, she's going to start Thursday. We'll work on getting all of her paperwork and everything done on that day. Fridays tend to be a little slower here as far as people coming in, so it'll be a nice day for her to kind of transition, get to meet people. She might even help edit some pages of the town report and kind of get to know the town of what's been going on the past year in that way. So I'm very much looking forward to having her on board, and she's very much looking forward to being on board. So she'll be here at 9 a.m. on Thursday.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that is exciting.
Yeah.
And then highway as well.
And highway, so John Titus, our newest employee, has already started working, and I think it's relief on all of their parts. I
And
think they're-
paperwork's all done and it's official,
Yep.
and that's
Yep.
great. That's
Yep,
great.
absolutely. So
And he's working on his CDL.
he's working.
So until then, Mike gave him a shovel.
Yeah, so
Lincoln
he's
Hill.
going to work on getting his CDL. There's only certain testing dates that happen in a year, so it's based on, we have a 6-month probationary period, so that's when we've given him 6 months to get it. Obviously, if the testing dates don't fall within that 6 months, we have to make an adjustment for that, but he's already has his CDL handbook, and is actively in pursuit of that, so.
That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is.
And driving the truck around the gravel pit, right?
there you go.
I mean, that's
Oh.
driving it in and
practice.
out of the garage.
Right.
Seeing if he can back in and
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
That's the real
Yeah, there you
check.
go.
What more damage could be done?
While holding
Right.
a cup of coffee.
Right.
So, anyhow, no, very good news. I think it's a very welcome change for all of them, and they've had a rough winter, but it's been over a year and a half that they've been just
Yeah.
the three of them.
Yeah.
So kudos to Mike and Dominic and Tom for
Absolutely.
hanging in there.
It'd be nice that occasionally one of them doesn't have to be on call,
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And John brings a really strong mechanical piece to it, so that will be great. So when there's a breakdown, he can be focused on working on that. They can send the others out and keep with the work going. So it took a lot of extra time just having three of them, because if something broke down, then there was bringing things back and getting it. So this help the work happen in a more efficient manner.
all right.
John went to Boston and got an award,
Yes.
right?
Oh, I should have brought that down. Yes,
Yeah.
he has a nice
We get a
plaque.
nice picture of it.
Well, his wife tried to take a picture, and she was standing there, and a person stood up right in front of her just as he was getting the award. But I understand there was professional photography there,
Okay.
and so a request has been made to send us some actual pictures. Yeah, so
Really does.
Great.
I do have a picture of John that his wife took, because he remembered, oh, Renee wants that picture, needs a picture. And so they stood out in the place after and took a picture of him,
Oh, good.
except he forgot to smile. Looks very serious. So,
Forgot. John's always smiling.
but anyway, no, it was well-deserved honor, and very nice that not only that he represented Hinesburg, and Hinesburg was positively reflected in that, but he was given an award for his good work, and so that was good news.
Select board forum, does anybody?
I just have one question. In front of HCS, I'm not sure if the town's been contacted at all about the water.
Yes.
Is
Yep.
it a leak?
It is.
Aha.
So they're working
Thought so.
on that. They had a consultant out there, I think on Friday. They're just trying to really identify exactly where it is. It doesn't look like it's a significant one, so they have time on their hands to really narrow it down. They're working with the school. Once they do decide to do the repair, what they have all the information they need, they'll work around the school's schedule so that either, if it's really small leak, they could even look at February vacation, or if something happens to happen before, then potentially doing a weekend, which you don't want to, because it costs more to do the repair work. But they're certainly communicating with the school and trying to work out the best way.
Yeah.
So
What side of is it on the town side, or do they know?
I don't know that they've narrowed it down completely yet. So I didn't get a chance. Eric stopped in on I think Friday after, just to say they're getting
think so.
closer. They've narrowed
It's
it.
right where you pull in front of the building.
Yep, it's right where the buses come in and
Yeah.
all of that. And that little, maybe in the little island area, possibly. They're not sure if it's in the 116 right away or where it
Yeah,
probably is
it's
in the
tough to
116
tell,
right
but-
away. But
It's an awful mess when it
There's-
was really cold. It was.
they really want to get it right. I mean, they
Yeah.
really want to identify it. So if they don't have to do anything to the 116 as far as taking out pavement or anything, they don't.
Right.
They want to avoid that if they can. But so they're trying to really narrow down what the location is.
And they're, I think, seeing if they can wait until school vacation to.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
We all got that email about unreasonable noise from Catherine
Mm-hmm.
Hickel. Is there anything we can do about that? It seems like
get that.
it's,
It would be nice to be able to do something. I mean, I think she's pointing to state statute
Yeah.
that talks about unreasonable noise.
right.
I think we asked Frank at one time. We could certainly ask him again.
I didn't
Just,
see the email. What is it?
Oh, it was complaining about gunfire constant, and
Really
the complaint's
loud
been
gunfire.
It's not constant.
before. Okay, so complaining about it on one particular day, anyways. I'll send you the email,
Okay.
and then yeah.
All right.
And part of the issue is, and she sent it to the senators from Chittenden County as well as Addison County.
Okay.
Because it's,
It's a property in Addison County? or-
it's
right
unclear whether it's Starksboro, Moncton, or Hinesburg. I mean, it's kind of,
Tyler Bridge Road is where she lives, so it's right on the edge of where those three towns come together.
Huh.
But she said it wasn't just regular gunfire, it was really loud, really aggressive, and maybe assault weapon kind of noise. And she thought that it was noise pollution, public health issue.
So I forwarded it to you. You
Okay.
can maybe just ask Frank and get his opinion.
He's
Oh. Frank just had his surgery on his other foot. It was scheduled for October, but they called him last week and something opened up in the ER and they changed it to like he had a day or two notice. And so he had it done on, what was it? Thursday, Friday? I don't remember. Maybe Wednesday. Maybe it was Wednesday. So maybe he told me Tuesday.
so isn't
Anyway.
he still recuperating from?
he's back on the job. I saw him Monday
Yeah.
or Tuesday of last week,
Yeah,
walking around. Okay,
right. So now he's
not anymore.
going to be back on his scooter eventually. But anyway, so it's got them taken care of in a little closer time than he'd planned. But the surgeon felt the other one had healed good, and so it was worked out well.
So is there nothing we can do as a select board?
I think we
Sure there is.
need to be careful about what we consider a legitimate complaint.
Well, it upsets me that she says a bunch of young people to whom I complained are knowing, rude, disruptive, and clearly enjoying their dominant assault on this environment, as well as the knowledge that they will face no criticism, disruption, or modification of their environmental assault on the rest of the taxpayers.
Okay, so that's what one person's writing, right or wrong.
right.
I think we ask the chief or Caleb or whoever, give it to them and ask, you know, should they do anything? I think they have kind of questioned, so let's see what they advise us.
Including if there's a role for the town health officer, I don't know,
Yeah.
for this.
Maybe.
I don't know.
So does that
All
sound
I know is what's
reasonable?
in the
Yeah.
email.
So they should take complaints serious and,
Absolutely.
you know, follow it up. I think they would. I mean, the expectation is they'll be fair about looking it over. Anything else for a select board forum?
I just wanted to notice that the Agency of Natural Resources submitted the 401 Clean Water public hearing for the Hannaford's project. That there'll be a public hearing on February 26th at the CVU High School, and it's to allow interested persons to submit comments on the agency's draft determination for water quality certification. And it's mostly regarding the wetlands on Lot 15. But I also think that it's an opportunity for the town to perhaps have an engineer look at the determination and whether there's other opportunities for us to understand how we can ensure that water quality is being protected in Patrick Brook, because that's what this 401 Act is it's water quality in general, having to do with when the Army Corps has jurisdiction and it's delegated to the state. So maybe I could maybe get a little bit more information, and at the next meeting I could bring something forward that we could, we have until March 1st to submit comments. So it's just an opportunity to submit comments on their draft determination.
So when it was originally looked at, it wasn't under the Army Corps of Engineers, right?
There was a
Because of
question
the-
about what the process was, I think, of which the Army Corps used it, and I don't know whether this had to be resubmitted because of the time lapse. So I don't quite understand why this has come around again, but it could be that there was some question about the process that was used in the original determination.
Whether it was
Yeah.
what class it is.
Yeah, and whether the Army Corps came out. So I just we'll just look at it a little bit and then maybe come forward with a proposal or some comments on next Monday's meeting.
Would this have come up during the DRB?
No, because it's not a state, but it is an opportunity for the town to comment. It's not part of the DRB process, but it is where we can be sure that our concerns about water quality are addressed at the state level aside from
Bless you.
just the stormwater permit.
Something we've talked about
Right,
quite a bit.
right. So,
I had concerns about the timing of that meeting because and I'm not sure who set the date, but it's right smack dab in the middle of February break, in which a lot of residents are out of here.
That would be the state that would have set
yeah,
that, right?
the state just, they issue the permit and just come,
It's just, maybe it's just bad timing, but
Yeah.
I mean, if you want comments from, I mean, no offense to the process, but people aren't going to give up their vacation for,
Yeah, no,
for a
probably
public
not.
hearing. So
Right.
it's,
but they can submit the comments in in writing and, what you have to respond to is the permit that they've issued. So, I can.
The draft.
The draft permit that A&R has already issued, so, and it's until March 1st.
And there's instructions on
Did
there where to
everybody
submit
get a
the-
copy of that? I think I saw one go by and I looked at it. I thought, I'm not sure where I saw it. Maybe I saw it from something else.
Well, I got a copy of it and I asked Renee to forward it to the attorney.
I forwarded it
And
to
so
the
I-
attorney.
yeah.
Yep,
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's when I saw it.
the draft permit.
the draft permit.
Yeah, the whole it's a
That's
whole
right.
package.
Yes.
It has the hearing notice and then a copy of the draft permit and and their application. So it's the engineer for Hannaford's application and then comments and then the permit that A&R. So I don't know when they submitted the application, but A&R's been looking at it for a while.
So it'd be good. I mean, I'm not sure how long it is, or
But
if we're gonna
send it around,
comment
if we're
on
gonna
it, we
comment,
should
yeah.
see it.
We're gonna
Right,
do it,
right.
Yeah,
Is that okay?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Is really the only notice. I know Alex sent something or had something on Front Porch Forum. Or was it on Front Porch Forum, or was it a direct email?
He sent an
Regarding
email,
that.
he sent it to Renee and he copied me on it. I don't know if he copied the rest of you on it.
For which,
Today.
oh, today.
He sent
Oh, I didn't
something
see
to
it.
me.
I
My
saw
wife
that.
saw it last week.
Well, it
Might
came
be-
out from the Agency of Natural Resources, so if you attended any of the
Well,
hearings,
she's on the Conservation Commission, so,
So-
maybe that's why.
it went to a big list of anybody who had ever been to any of the state hearings in the past year and a half.
I didn't get
She got a
anything
forwarded
from
message
Alex
from
today.
Alex.
Oh, so maybe
Believe so,
maybe he
but-
sent it to yes, in fact, here it is,
I didn't receive it today. I didn't receive anything today from Alex
at 11:03.
No, it was last week that.
at 11:03
Yeah,
today.
Alex sent it to you and copied me. And then he sent it to the Planning Commission and the Conservation Commission.
All right, that's fine.
And that's concerning the state permit.
Yeah, last
Okay.
Friday. He
Oh,
sent
no,
it to them.
I see it now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
So you want me to forward this to everybody?
sure.
Sure.
Along those lines, Renee copied us, I think, on the email that you got from Chris Pearson, offering to come and speak to us about water quality.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
He had spoken to the Shelburne Select Board. So are we going to follow through on that, or is that not going to be valuable for us, or what?
I'm not sure if there's any specific timing for that. I mean, it's not pressing like it has to be next week.
Right.
But it would be good to, I mean, it sounded like it was a reasonable 20 or 30 minutes just to get an overview.
I think what it would be, might be opportune is to talk about the kind of situation that we're in with this, with our
Stormwater.
Well,
Yeah.
stormwater and our sewage upgrade.
Yeah.
And,
Yes, even more so.
like, so that everybody recognizes that the contribution that we're making as a municipal level is pretty small.
Yeah.
And whether there's also an opportunity for us in this situation to maybe do an upgrade. I mean, we're going to have to do an upgrade, but in thinking about doing something that is
In
a little more
lieu of-
innovative.
Right. Instead of
'cause, I mean,
spending
we're
a lot of
still-
money to get a little bit, maybe
Right.
there's something you can
Let's-
spend
yeah.
to get a lot.
Yeah. So let's put
That
a
might
bug in
not
his
be-
ear
Yeah.
about, and in our engineers,
Yeah.
that we don't,
It might be good to have that at the same time.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what I have it
Oh, okay, that would be
tentatively
good,
to
yeah.
put him on the same one, so the
Yeah.
February 19th meeting.
That would be
Yeah.
perfect, yeah.
That's what I have
And
a
just do
placeholder for.
20 minutes or
Yeah.
half an hour maybe ahead of the water and wastewater.
Yeah.
Wayne and, yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So one item that Aaron just sort of reminded, so this issue's come up as a surprise, I think, for everybody here. I don't want to speak for everybody, about the 4th of July changing a little bit. So I don't know if you want to say what you're hoping to do.
Yeah, so I mean,
And can you
think I
start
got-
with like how this all played out? Like I
Well-
said, we all are just hearing about it.
I just heard about it, I think
If you know.
last week, and so, I think I got the email, was it you or you had forwarded, someone else had gotten a concern, and then I saw the Front Porch Forum posts. So I checked in with Jen today. Apparently, it's been discussion that's been happening over the last 2 years, and so the fire department approached the rec commission 2 years ago about this plan for their 75th anniversary celebration. And they have different fire departments from all across the state that are going to come and help, support this, bring their trucks and things. And so on July 4th, they wouldn't be able to do that, but a weekend before, a weekend after, they could. And so they landed on the June 30th date. What I suggested to Jen, I checked in, there's nothing that's set in stone. It's been an agreement that's been understood, between the two over the last 2 years, is to have it as an agenda item on Monday, so February 5th, and, invite the fire department, invite the rec commission, and kind of just have a open public conversation to kind of talk through it.
But it sounds like we
I'd
can
like
talk
to-
all we want, but it sounds like it's a done thing if we've got other departments involved. I guess my concern is just how we found out about it. And now to say
Right.
it's been going on for a couple of years
Yeah, I
and
mean,
it's a done thing.
What I got there was no malintent on any side. They were, it was just, that was who they approached. That's, so the rec commission was done there, as best they could, navigating this, trying to, how to work through it, making sure they get information out. So they were going to start putting it in like the spring rec guide. She's been communicating with the businesses already and all of that. So I
Somebody
think,
jumped the gun on them then.
what's that?
Yeah, somebody jumped the gun on them.
I think some, maybe some of the businesses that they contacted her, when that's when it kind of went.
Well, there's the
that way.
library.
So,
Sure.
Yeah, the library's
Yeah,
there.
Like a lot
Yeah.
of groups.
Yeah.
Everything.
that Really, it would have been good to
right.
have.
Agreed.
And didn't
Some
we
coordination.
have something on Front Porch Forum that maybe the public house would still do something on July 4th? Am I remembering
Well,
that
that was
right?
just a comment, I think, about, what's happening.
Right.
But I think the surprise for everybody is maybe one of the biggest issues. And then, I think I was saying, somebody may have already invited their parents to come on 4th of July for the parade.
Yeah.
So, well, we need to have this conversation, and I would recommend that, that no decisions really get made until at least the public understands what's even being discussed. And
Right.
You know, is
Right,
it
well,
two
like,
parades,
whose
one
decision
parade?
is it, really?
Yeah,
I mean, it's,
Yes.
you know, I mean.
you gotta
it's
shut
kind of
down the
been-
road,
Yeah, shut down the road, so there's the state has to be
well, impact the
consulted.
businesses,
And
People's
the
lives.
book sale, I mean,
the
there's
book
a
sale,
lot.
the balloon sale, you know, like there's all these
Yeah.
little pieces that have all worked
Around
know,
the assumption
around
that
the assumption that it's the
it's July
4th.
4th,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And then to see the Front Porch Forum post today where permission, with it was quoted as saying permission was asked and we were given permission to change it to the 30th.
Oh, that really, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
one.
and
Oh.
I don't, what,
Who gives
gives
permission?
exactly, that's my point, you know?
Yeah.
Not that it has to come from me, but like, how does that work?
Well, it kind of does because we have to request that the state shut down the road.
Agreed.
Or
I
the
mean,
select
I-
board has to request.
What I'm trying to say,
Right.
what I'm saying is that, I mean, it's,
Who does they ask permission from?
yeah, it just,
And
what
the
is this
town
process?
pays for the
Police
toilets,
overtime and the
the
toilets.
police overtime,
Yeah.
some cleaning up.
I agree with you, Phil, that there needs to be a conversation.
Yeah, we,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
at
the
least have a
public
conversation. It
At
may-
large
it
needs
may
to
end
be
up
asked
being
the
a-
question.
And this year, it may end up being a great idea, but it's not unless everybody has some input
Right.
Exactly.
and to understand what the impact is.
Yeah.
And I mean, as a part of that, I did go on the
Yeah, there we go.
website for the rec commission to see where it was discussed, and I didn't see any minutes.
I think you'd probably have to go back over the last couple of years, is
Yeah,
what
well,
I understood. She
right.
said that it's in the minutes and their discussions
Well,
with them.
it just brought to my attention that there weren't a lot of
So,
recent
You're right that
minutes.
this is a tradition. There are a lot of people from surrounding towns that
Right.
come. We could have a lot of people showing up on July 4th, waiting to see
9
something
o'clock
that
with
doesn't
their-
happen.
And
lot
does that
there.
mean that which night are the fireworks? And who, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
I thought there was also some money left from last year for
Well,
the.
we've got in the budget a little bit of money to prepay the fireworks,
But
right?
I think the
That's already been
HBPA
done?
and others
Yeah.
have done fundraising for that. So
Right.
to our warrant, so a couple
But we
weeks
were
ago, already
fundraising
paid
for the 4th of
check.
July
Well,
fireworks.
there's money in the budget for 4th of July.
My understanding,
Yeah,
the
but that's
plan,
not for fireworks, though. That's
No, that's
Yeah,
for,
right, for the parade.
Well, I
bathrooms
think
and
we've already written the
dumpsters.
check, though, for that, for a deposit a couple of weeks ago, for the fireworks.
for the fireworks.
but
I'm sure
that
we
may
have.
have come from other fundraising,
Yeah.
but still, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But
you did-
I think what he's saying is the date has been, the
Well,
deposit on
when
the
I checked
date.
in with Jen, I just wanted to check to see if there's anything set in stone, and she said, yes, she has sent the check to them. She hasn't sent the contract with the dates, verifying any dates yet. So, nothing's been, committed to in a way that, other than verbal commitment, obviously, and an understanding, between the fire department and the recreation commission. But again,
So as an
my understanding, there's
as
no
an aside
malintent
from
on
this,
any.
though, it sounds like it could be a really tremendous celebration if we have all of these other departments coming
Right.
in and
Yeah, yeah, I think that
celebrating
was-
our town.
Right.
That's a thrill.
And if you're looking at the post that was made, I think they're not trying to take away from they're wanting to celebrate the patriotic piece of it too, and having all these other towns being part of that. So I think it would be good just to have that open discussion,
Yeah.
talk about it, talk through it, and I think when any decision's made or any avenues taken, you don't always think about all the other unintended consequences or other things. And so I guess it's an opportunity to think about all of those and see if we can find a good way to move forward.
Well, we've made that mistake a couple times too, where you don't
Yeah.
think things through
Everybody
completely
gets
and
caught up
realize
in things that they're
yeah.
doing. Everybody's
So-
trying to do the best job
Well,
they can.
so we'll do it on
and other
Monday,
things.
next Monday.
Yep.
That sounds good. Anything else for Select Board Forum? That was a good topic.
This local government day on February 15th,
Is that VLCT?
yes. Is that, has anybody gone to that in the
I don't
past?
think I have.
Right.
I've been to a similar.
I've been to a couple of,
Yeah.
I've been to
Have
3
you
or
been,
4
Andrea,
of their
to Local
events.
Government Day? For some
Maybe a
reason I was
long time
thinking
ago.
A long time ago, okay.
So
Might be a
they're
good-
not bad. You get to interact with different people from all over the place, and had a great discussion from a group from, maybe it was the budgeting, from Canaan, and they're right on the border. And the woman's son lived in a house that was between the borders. So you go past the first one, and then you go to the house, and then the next one's the Canadian. And before they go, they have to check in with both to stop. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. But there, you'll meet a lot of people from large towns and small towns, and it can be very worthwhile. Any other items? A motion to approve the minutes from last Monday.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of January 22nd, 2018, as amended.
Second.
I saw one misspelling, that was it. I think it was Andrea's name, if I remember,
yeah.
right? Maybe not.
And then I would suggest, it starts by saying, meeting called to order at 6:30 PM. And then the next line is Andrea moved to acknowledge the premature, that's basically executive session. I would just put a heading in there that says executive session. Yep. Just so we know what Andrea is talking about.
And on the second page, under Selectboard, Andrea is misspelled.
Yep.
A.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of a combination of my name and her name there.
Yeah. Anything else? Did anybody see? Are we ready or still looking?
I think that was the only thing I had. Did we, with regards to the temporary fast trash recycling services, the last line says the board will decide how to proceed. Did we ever make any decisions?
I think we
We asked
told Renee
to
if
see
she
what
could, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess in terms of what needs to go into the minutes there, like, did we?
I think it said that we,
It says, or agreed for Renee to proceed.
yeah. The
And
last
see if she can
item.
get it, that probably should say, and see if she can get a contract, and she can get a contract.
And see if, right, she can get a contract. Do you see it? It's the last,
Not she did.
it's the last statement.
Oh,
there.
all
Yeah.
the way at the end. I'm still
Yeah.
looking up
No,
there.
it's okay.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, because we probably forgot that we didn't talk about that. And we talked about it at the end.
Mhm. I think so, yeah.
So you're just recording chronologically
Yeah, I
as
did
we
have another
mess around
company
here, huh? Okay, got
call
it.
today.
That's
to
it.
inquire
Because I
about it.
thought we said
Clean
something
green?
about it.
What's that?
Clean green?
No,
Memo
no,
about,
a different one.
which was the tax.
Yes.
And so they want me to send
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
them
yes,
what
exactly.
was the information that was in the RFP originally. And then tonnage, did you have that from CSWD? Or maybe I'll look from Brian. I think he'd sent something about
Oh.
what the tonnage was that they were collecting
Oh.
before,
Yeah,
just so that they have an idea
Right.
of what to expect.
I had tonnage for the year.
You had tonnage
That's
for
what
the
I'd
year.
gotten from their website. I didn't have the
Oh,
weekly
okay.
tonnage.
Okay.
Unless that was, I don't think that was in the original RFP that
Okay.
he had.
I don't know if Brian had
Maybe
sent
had it.
anything originally, like when he was giving some information to put in the RFP, if he had anything about that. I'll have to look back
Yeah.
and see.
I could understand they'd want to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to see if it's something.
Well, we
they
had
can
said
do.
it was an average of 400 users a week.
That was in the RFP. Was that?
I don't know if it was in the RFP, but
Okay.
it was.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah.
All right, so there's a motion to accept the minutes as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
I'll abstain.
Okay,
That was
that's
on
right,
ice.
yes.
You're on ice.
You were
So
nice.
four approved, one abstained.
And not playing hockey.
No. Although you could have.
Consider approving the warrants.
I'll make the motion for you.
Is there a
Second.
All right. And All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's that. And I think that's it. There's no reason to go into executive session. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Just so you know, I had adjourning at 8:40. We did 8:42.
8:41:23.
Yeah, 8:41. I think
Ma'am.
when you actually said adjourn. So.